Hello everyone, Carlos here. Welcome to TrustedSec Tech Brief for the third week of June. So in this tech brief, I'm going to be going over some of the vulnerabilities and news that have happened during this week. And let's start first with the Windows Wi-Fi driver remote code execution vulnerability that Microsoft released as part of this month, Patch Tuesday. This vulnerability has CVE 2024-30078 and it has a CVSS score of 8.8. And so this means that if an attacker is able to be in the proximity of the vulnerable host and is able to interact with the Wi-Fi signal, it is able to inject due to bad handling of input code and be able to get code execution at the kernel level. This is a very bad one given how complex it is to patch client machines given their large number and the number of variables, making it quite complex. Do look into this one, patch it quickly before a proof of concept code comes out there and we start seeing this vulnerability abused by bad actors. Now, when it comes to the news, let's start first with ScatterSpider hackers are switching their focus more to cloud apps and to stealing data. This is something that we have seen this trend for quite a while. And when it comes to this specific attacker, one of the things that we have noticed is that they have shifted over to attacking software as a service applications and cloud infrastructure. Now, this type of shift in attack, what allows them is to just extort victims without encrypting the systems, because once they gain access into those systems by performing social engineering and being able to reset multi-factor authentication for an account, they establish persistence by creating VMs inside of the environment, and then they use legitimate syncing services for the cloud infrastructure to be able to extract that data. Also in the news, one of the things that came out was that CISA came out with a paper called Don't Trust But Verify, strengthening U.S. leadership to safeguard our cyber defenses. The main areas that this paper covered was that we need to improve our critical infrastructure for vulnerabilities. We are seeing right now actors like Volt Typhoon setting chop in many of the different power plants, power systems. We also saw what happened at the start of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, where hackers actually, in a form of protest, attacked water systems out there and were able to change the screens to say, hey, we are in line with this specific actor during this conflict as kind of a way of protest. So we know that these systems right now are quite vulnerable and they're not being addressed. On the power side, we have some regulations that have been in place for quite a while and they have been improving. On the water system side, we're still struggling. And as we have seen also when it comes to the amount of ransomware attacks that have happened in 2023, and we're seeing so far this year when it comes to healthcare, it highlights the cost of cybercrime. We're seeing that the cost actually exceeded $12.5 billion in 2023. And this is only in terms of attacks to healthcare, manufacturing, and government facilities. They also talk about emerging technology threats when it comes to encryption and quantum computing that could potentially decrypt current encryption methods that we are using. In addition to that, they do mention that AI is being weaponized right now in influence operations and also in attacks. Another area that they cover in the paper itself is leadership and coordination needs. One of the things that happens is that our cybersecurity leadership across various government entities is fragmented. This requires better coordination and clear authority to enhance cyber defenses across the multiple agencies and multiple groups right now. So I would boil it down that we have too many cooks in the kitchen, and we need to set a clear order of authority that should be followed. And we should kind of like coordinate across all of this leadership on how to work better together. Another thing that we're seeing is that they're recommending zero trust and cyber resilience when it comes to the government itself. We have seen attacks where they have gained access to one system and lateral movement is quite easy in a non-zero trust environment, and they want to kind of like mitigate this type of behavior based on what they have seen from attackers. They're also recommending that the government should embrace the use of SBOMs for enhanced cybersecurity. This means that we are getting software bill of materials in terms of all of the components that form our applications. We have seen so far many vulnerabilities that have surfaced with PyPI, with NPM. We have seen vulnerabilities that have come with open source libraries, and finding out what product may be vulnerable to a given vulnerability is quite hard if we don't have an SBOM. At the same time, SBOM is an additional cost to many vendors. It takes a bit of time to be able to set the standards and processes in place to be able to generate. And it is something that probably we can start asking more from vendors so we can move the needle in that way where they start implementing this a bit more, is my recommendation. In the next news, we have China Velvet APT, Nest Insight multi-year espionage effort. In this specific one, they had a very persistent campaign where once they were expelled, they kept returning into the target environment itself. They were actually exploiting legacy systems quite a bit. For example, Windows 2003 and older systems that were no longer patched. We noticed that they were also had some very creative evasion tactics. So one of the things that they did is that they burrowed themselves inside of F5 appliances. A lot of people actually forget that a lot of the appliances that we have in our network are actually running Linux. And many times, sadly, they're not even monitored for somebody modifying their configuration, logging into them, or the traffic from these devices is actually ignored and not logged properly. Now, the last news that I want to cover in this tech brief is CDK Global hacked again while recovering from the first cyber attack. So CDK provides services for many car dealerships out there. They got targeted by a ransomware crew. They were able to evict the actor and started going through the process of recovery. But during that process of recovery, the actor returned. This is something that we discuss many times with our customers as we're performing tabletop exercises. In addition, where we're helping them prep IR plans with from the incident response team, Tyler Hudak and I, we have had many conversations around this, where many times when we are talking with our customers, they don't have a method of actually going into their backups and verifying those backups if there's a rat or compromised software in them that we're just restoring. Same thing goes, how do we handle credentials that were compromised during that attack that now we're restoring those values? What are the processes that we need to have in step? Are we exercising those processes? And have we been able to perform assume breach type of engagements in addition to the tabletop exercises where we have been able to test this and stress test it and make sure that everybody's aware on how to execute those. So yeah, thank you guys for being here in the tech brief and watching.